Welcome back to The Smart Consumer. Today we're talking about the price of gasoline, and we're talking about how it impacts on you and your family. And with me today to do that is a member of my family, the keeper of the purse string, I might add, which makes you an expert, by the way, on this subject. But anyway, we're talking about where the money really goes. And what else do you want to know about gas prices?
Okay, so you've explained to me that crude oil is what you make gasoline out of. That's what comes out of the ground,
It's
right?
the crude.
That's the basic component of gasoline.
43% of the price at the pump.
Taxes, 31%?
Taxes are 31% of the price at the pump. Federal excise tax, state excise tax, some sales tax thrown in there, and maybe some local taxes too. But 31% is taxes.
Okay, then what's next? It's got to clean this stuff up after it comes up out of the ground, right?
The third biggest component is refining costs.
Okay.
You got to take that crude oil to a refinery, and they've got to put detergents in it sometimes, take lead out of it sometimes, add other kinds of things to it. So refining costs represent about 13% of the total price of gas.
Well, that makes sense to me.
All right, and in addition to those refining costs, there are transportation and distribution costs, along with marketing costs. So literally, the gas has to be transported from the refinery, wherever it is, to the gas station, wherever that is.
Like those big trucks you see filling up.
And that cost is added to it as well. And along with those refining costs, there's some profit that these gas stations get too.
Well, I mean, it's a business. They have to make some money.
So that represents another 13%.
Okay.
So those four pieces, 43% crude oil, 31% for taxes, 13% for refining and profit associated with the refining process, and then another 13% for marketing, distribution, and a little bit of gas station profit.
All right, that's 100%.
That's what makes up our dollars for the gas. Now let's put it in a dollar context for a minute.
Okay, that's about what you got.
Let's say
left.
That the price for gas at the pump is $3.30. Okay,
that's not that's about some places. Yeah, that's true.
It is close to that in a lot of places in Pennsylvania. And if the price of gas was $3.30, and let's say our gas tank is a 20-gallon tank. That's
about right.
That means it'll cost about $60 to fill up your gas tank. Does that bother you?
Yes, $60. You know what I could do with $60?
I can imagine what you would do with $60. But anyway, this is how that price breaks down. $3.30 a gallon would break down and would make the price of a barrel of crude oil about $60 per barrel, which is real close to what it is today. Out of a barrel of crude oil, you'll get 42 gallons of oil or gas. That means that it's $1.42 per gallon for the crude oil. Out of that $3.30, $1.42 is for crude oil.
Just for the oil itself.
Just for the crude oil.
All right.
With taxes at 31%, that would mean we pay $1.02 worth of taxes out of that $3.30. With refining costs at 13%, that would mean we pay about 43 cents out of that $3.30 for refining costs. And distribution, marketing, and station profits being another 13%, that means we pay another 43 cents for those things, bring our total price per gallon to about $3.30.
So,
yes, go ahead.
If crude oil prices now go up, that makes the price of gasoline go up, and then the taxes are, somebody decided in their infinite wisdom how much taxes we had to pay. But distribution and marketing could potentially cost one station more?
Absolutely right. In fact, those are exactly the kind of things that impact on those percentages fluctuating up or down. And in fact, Hurricane Katrina does have a direct impact on the price of gas, not necessarily gas in the ground, but the gas that we will have to pay for in the next weeks and days and months.
Why is that?
Because Katrina happened in the Gulf of Mexico, where there are a number of pumps that pull it out of the ground, so pumps that would actually pull crude oil out of the ground, were affected by this. In the same area, there were a number of refineries that actually refined the gas. They were impacted too.
I knew about that.
In addition, that would mean that the gas would have to be refined somewhere else. Gas that would be refined in Louisiana that would be transported to Pennsylvania now has to go to California, for example.
So they've actually got to transport the crude oil further for it to be refined, and
That's
they've got to
correct.
pay those transportation costs
So
now.
now it has to go from California to Pennsylvania as opposed to Louisiana to Pennsylvania. That's assuming that they can even get gas out of those oil wells that were out off the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, what about who absorbs the cost of the oil that was lost, maybe that spilled?
Invariably, those are going to be a hit on the oil companies who were drilling the oil, but don't expect that those hits won't be passed on to customers. Their costs for crude oil, a barrel of crude oil, as you saw when we talked about this graph, have gone from $35.50 in the beginning of 2005 to $60 a barrel at this point in 2005.
Wow.
So that cost of a barrel of crude oil is where all those costs are captured.
So this impacts a lot of people. I saw in the paper where one small station owner was going out of business. He couldn't afford to stay in business.
Yeah, one of the things that people don't really understand is that the small station owners really don't make a lot of money. In fact, in the United States, only about 85% of all those gas stations we have, 85% are owned by individual people. Only 10 to 15% are owned by the oil companies. So it's a mom and pop, or for that matter, a company other than the oil companies that operate the individual gas stations.
Is it like a franchise?
Some can be franchises, some can be individually owned and operated by local people. But only 10 to 15% are really run by the oil companies themselves.
Okay.
So competition makes a difference. And they don't make nearly as much profit as people think.
Is that why I could maybe see a 20-cent difference coming to work today? On one street, on one side of the street, it's 20 cents cheaper than the other side. That's a no-brainer if I needed gas.
That's exactly right. And there are no laws that say you only charge but so much in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Those are the kinds of things that really impact on the price of gas. In just a couple of minutes, though, what I want to do is I want to spend some time talking about how people can make smart decisions about where they buy their gas from.
Okay.
So stay with us. We'll be right back talking about the price of gas right here on The Smart Consumer.